Coming in at number 10, we have the Dragon Pillar. Not that you necessarily would, but if you've ever ventured beneath the Yan'an elevated highway, there are a number of pillars holding the road up. Now all of the pillars look pretty much exactly the same except for the ninth one. While all of the other pillars make up the concrete jungle, the ninth pillar is adorned with lots of gold and glittering dragons. Why? Well, this is the center of a particularly popular urban legend. It seems that while the highway was being constructed in 1995, everything was going well until excavation started on what was to be the ninth pillar. Things started going wrong, like really wrong. So wrong that engineers decided to summon a priest who soon let them know that a dragon was sleeping beneath the pillar and had been disturbed by the construction. It seems the dragon watched over the city, and upsetting it would have meant terrible things for Shanghai. The priest advised making a noble gesture for the dragon, so it was decided that the pillar would be a shrine to the dragon, allowing it to be recognized, which was basically all it was asking for. This was enough to send it back to sleep. Now, if this is true, I'm just wondering what happens if the dragon decides that a pillar is no longer shrine enough and wakes up one day. Yikes. Rolling into number 9, we have Caobao Road Station. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a haunted train station in this list, and this one seems to be pretty active. It seems that Caobao Road Underground, which sits along Line 1, is deeply haunted. Not only do trains mysteriously break down, there have been 9 deaths under mysterious circumstances and a slew of suicides. One of the weirdest incidences was a member of the public who appeared to have been pushed from the platform by an invisible hand. It seems that one woman killed herself, but she's actually been frequently spotted after her death sitting on a platform seat. Another woman's laugh can reportedly be heard late at night. Some say the spirits come from a nearby mortuary, others say it's the site of the station itself. Coming into number 8, we have the Legend of the Paramount. In the 1930s and 40s, the Shanghai landmark, the Paramount, was the vibiest place to be in the city. The venue was run by notorious crime boss Huang Jinrong, who allowed drug dealers to enter his establishment. He also frequently peddled prostitutes and escorts to the high-powered business people that came to his venue. The clientele was exclusive. It was even said that Charlie Chaplin came to dance in the ballroom there. One night, a Japanese officer wanted to buy a dance from a woman. Cheng Manli was her name. She didn't like this officer, and she was new to the club and defiant. She didn't want to dance with him. She said no. It is said that he was furious and decided to shoot her right there and then on the dance floor. She bled out, and many say that her soul seeped into the floor. Many say that she still haunts the 4th floor of the building in the former ballroom, where she can be seen swaying slowly by herself. Coming into number 7, we have The Lizards Made Him Do It. There is a very haunted mansion in Shanghai, the Kui Mansion. The mansion has a dark past wherein 2 of its owners who kept exotic animals mysteriously went missing. After their disappearance, it seems that the home stood abandoned for years as people were too scared to venture in. Often, people would claim to have seen the ghosts of animals haunting the building. In 2009, the building was set to be knocked down to make way for a high-rise apartment building. It seems that workers from the demolition site angered the animal spirits. One worker on the site attacked his manager with a hammer, and when asked by authorities to explain his actions, it seems that he said the lizards made him do it. One woman, Miss Yi, who lives near the construction site, even claims she saw a dragon crawling up the arm of a construction crane. Another scary mansion up next at number 6, we have the diving board. The Wukang Mansion has been given the unfortunate nickname of the diving board. Why? Well, because it's a very popular suicide spot in Shanghai and nobody really knows why. The building was constructed in 1924 and has been home to many members of high society, including celebrities. One celebrity who killed herself in the building was Shagun Yinzu. She was denounced by the Chinese government and her films were trashed. She killed herself, and she is perhaps the most famous ghost to haunt the building, despite being amongst great company. It is said that the actress's perfume can still be whiffed along the halls today, and some say her ghost reenacts her death by falling from the window. Coming into number 5, we have the flower bed. It seems that the Shanghai University flower bed happens to be the spot that thousands upon thousands of jading people were executed by Manchurian killers in 1644 during the Qing dynasty. It is said that the spirits of the dead haunt the university library, especially the area surrounding the flower bed, which is said to feel deathly cold even on a hot summer's day. Coming into number 4, we have Disneyland versus China. Disneyland Shanghai opened up in 2016, but its opening has not been smooth by any means. You will see articles online like, why does Shanghai Disneyland guests go poo-poo in public areas? Others say that the location has been trashed by tourists. Local legend has it that there is a lot of resentment from local people at Disney opening up. Many people think that it spreads too many American values. As a result, or so some say, the people of China want to bring shame on it. Honestly, I don't know if this is true. Coming into number 3, we have the goddess of Plaza 66. It wasn't just the construction of the Yan'an Highway that caused issues. It seems that the city's exclusive Plaza 66 angered an ancient sleeping goddess who caused a number of construction issues for the build. The goddess was only discovered when a feng shui master tried to find out what was going on. It seems the goddess was satisfied with a new building design that incorporated a giant incense stick burned in her honor. It seems that she is less sleepy than the dragon though. She's thought to be the mischievous driving force behind a number of visitors getting lost in the building. Coming into number 2, we have the tea waitress. There is a very gloomy looking building in Shanghai near Nanjing that was once said to be a luxury hotel in the 80s. The legend goes that one day a young girl was working at the hotel as a waitress when she made a mistake on the job and spilled some tea on a customer. Tea is a pretty big deal in China, and in a fancy hotel it's very important to be served right. The poor young girl was on the receiving end of a slew of abuse from her boss who thought she'd shown up the establishment. He locked her in a room of the hotel as punishment. Now sadly, a huge fire swept through the property that same day. The guests and staff managed to safely evacuate, except for the waitress who was locked up. She died in the building after being horribly burned. Local residents say that the waitress can be seen looking out of the window of the building and that the property has never been torn down because of the scary aura she's left over the place. Most construction workers who have ever attempted to enter the building have been seen fleeing after just hours at the spot. Finally, coming into number 1, we have the baby eaters. Oh, this makes me feel so sick. China, it seems, has a strange relationship with cannibalism. In January 2003, an artist exhibition in Shanghai caused outrage and furore when it screened a documentary of the artist Zhu Hu biting into the body of a stillborn baby. When Hu spoke to the press, she said, "No religion forbids cannibalism, nor can I find any law which prevents us from eating people. I took advantage of the space between morality and the law and based my work on it." It seems that a lot of dark art was coming from China at that time, and many people were wondering why. Maybe it's because the artist isn't alone in the eating of baby flesh. China seems to have a black market issue for buying fetuses, and it is believed that eating them is good for stamina and sexual health. Shanghai hospitals are said to provide more of any of the dead babies on the black market than any other hospital in the country. Honestly, this is grim. What happens to them? They're ground up in pills and sold to people. Ugh. I really don't like it.
Coming in at number 10, we have the Vampire Granny. Well, I decided that we would start off this urban legends list by ruining one of the most wholesome things on the planet. How could you make a granny evil? What's the next point gonna be? Garlic fart puppies? In terms of urban legends, this one is fairly new. It popped up in the mid-90s. Word started to spread fast about an evil old woman that would be walking around the streets looking for kids who were foolish enough to be walking around alone. She would take them to her secret lair, and then she would suck them dry of all their blood. Sounds like a pretty crummy way to go, but I don't have anything to worry about because I'm not a kid and I don't live in Shanghai. I guess if anyone watching this is a youngster, you better avoid all the old ladies you see. This old lady bloodsucker was apparently pretty selective because she would only go after kids who were wearing red. Maybe because it's the color of blood and this would attract her. Or maybe she wanted to steal their red clothes to keep as trophies. The reason why? We will never know. Coming in at number 9, we have the Pillar of the Nine Dragons. If you want to see one of the most famous monuments in Shanghai, then you will need to go in search of the Pillar of the Nine Dragons. It sits right underneath a massive overpass. Now, when this overpass was being constructed, there was something strange happening in the digging process. The construction workers couldn't get through the ground. They could dig small holes, but they couldn't seem to penetrate anything deep. So the construction workers did the logical thing and they called a geologist to figure out what they were digging into. I'm just kidding, dude. They absolutely did not call a geologist. This is an urban legends video. They actually got a priest to come in and find out if something magical was stopping them from digging any deeper. Turns out there was apparently a sleeping dragon that was underneath the earth, and if they wanted the dragon to move, they had to give it an offering, and that is why there are 9 dragons on the pillar. Dragons love to be worshipped. Also, is everyone fine with a random dragon just sleeping underground? Like, no one is bothered by this? Just me? And we have the flower bed. It only took us 3 points, but now we're already at some ghosts. You gotta have ghosts on an urban legend list. It's like an unwritten rule, like don't double dip your chip, or hot dogs are all made out of buttholes. So the flower bed has some pretty interesting stuff going on. To get the full story, you have to head back to the year 1644, when thousands of people were killed on that spot. It was a massive execution, and when you kill that many people on one spot, you're going to get a little bit of bad mojo flowing through the air. You can go visit this spot today, and many people who do claim that the spirits walk through this area in the hundreds. There is also a foul smell that can creep into your nose, the sounds of people weeping and gurgling, and also a cold chill that will crawl up your spine. How about you guys go check out the creepy ghosts, and I go check out a really good restaurant. We'll meet at the Sleeping Dragon in an hour. Coming in at number 7, we have the Jing'an Cemetery. The ghosts keep coming and the ghosts keep coming, and that's as deep as I'm gonna go with that remix. So the Jing'an Cemetery was built in 1890 and was a hotspot for people to get buried. I don't know what I want done with my body, but I don't think I care if my body is thrown in the ocean or my ashes are shot into space. I don't really care what happens. I don't need to go to a fancy spot. Well, some people desperately wanted to be buried there. This was until the late 20th century when the bodies started to get removed so they could remodel the area into a public attraction. But here's the thing, there were so many bodies in the area that many people believe they didn't get them all out. So now there's just dead people floating around the area, and well, that's what happens in life, or death. Coming in at number 6, we have Plaza 66. It seems that there aren't only dragons underneath the earth in Shanghai, but there's also some gods. When Plaza 66 was being built, there was a ton of accidents, and instead of blaming this on poor construction policies, the people in charge of this came to the conclusion that there was a goddess living under the spot that they were trying to dig. So this is what they did. They changed the whole building to look like it was a monument to the goddess, and she loved this and stopped any further accidents from happening. Seems like a fair deal. Coming in at number 5, we have the Pacific Department Store. This building does have a Chinese name, but I don't want to butcher it and sound like a moron. But here's the story, and I'll tell you, it is horrifying. So the store was built on a cemetery. That's not crazy for an urban legends list, so let's up the ante a little bit. It was built on a child's cemetery. Oh my god, that sounds like the most horrific thing I have ever heard. So there was a nursery/orphanage in this spot where the department store was built, and some of the kids don't always make it, so there was also a nursery/orphanage graveyard. Honestly, I didn't know this video was gonna get this dark. Well, they had to bulldoze the orphanage and nursery to make the department store, which sounds like the bad ending to every 90s movie. But here's the thing, you can't bulldoze a ghost. So the spirits were just hanging out, and then the people who worked at the department store started to hear child ghosts screaming and laughing all the time. That can't be good for your mental health. So the department store plays the song Darling, I'm Sorry, which is a Chinese lullaby. They play this over the loudspeakers, and this apparently calms all the ghosts. Coming in at number 4, we have the Paramount Theater Dancer Girl. Times have changed. The Paramount Theater used to be a place where escorts, gangs, and rich folk would gather, do debaucherous things, and live scandalous lives. Wait a second, times haven't changed at all. People are doing that right now, like every day. The story with the Paramount Dancer Girl goes like this. At the Paramount Theater, there was a ballroom, and this is where many of the gangsters and rich folk would dance with escorts so they could make deals and then take them off to hotel rooms. Just because it's sex work doesn't mean you can't keep it classy. Well, one girl was pulled onto the dance floor by a gang member, and she wanted nothing to do with him. She told him off, but then he forced her onto the dance floor, so she responded by slapping him right in the face. Well, he didn't like this one bit, so he shot her dead on the dance floor. It's said that this poor girl's ghost is still dancing throughout the theater. Coming at number 3, we have the Kui Mansion. Ghostly pets protecting a mansion. That sounds like my kind of bizarre urban legend. So apparently this building has been standing for quite some time, and the Chinese government decided that it was time to tear it down. The building was previously owned by a couple of avant-garde painters who loved exotic pets and probably had mustaches. Dudes who like weird paintings and have a bunch of strange pets for sure have mustaches. Well, one day these two dudes just vanished. They disappeared, and that has never been explained. Oh, this legend is starting to get good. Years later, when the teardown order was sent out, every worker who walked into the building ran out in terror and revealed that they had animal bites all over their body, but they hadn't been touched by any animal. There was also a worker who tried to kill his boss, and when he later calmed down, he said that the lizard was making him do it. Mind Control Lizard Ghost? That's the name of my next comedy album. Coming in at number 2, we have the Cabo Lu Station. You ever want to get murdered by a ghost? Yeah, me neither. So you should avoid this place because apparently there's a rude ghost that will push you in front of a train. There have been 9, count them, 9 people who have died in this place with zero explanation as to how they died. That doesn't seem like a good time to me. I don't want to die for no reason. I want to have fun and not die. That's the Che Dorena motto. So apparently this is the ghost of an angry lady, and she won't only kill randos, she will also cause trains to break down, which is super rude. You're making the whole city late, ghost lady. Sometimes a train will break down in the station and everyone will hear a cackling woman's laughter. I'm never gonna ride the subway there, and that's a promise. Coming in at number 1, we have the baby black market. So people are buying and selling babies on the black market because it's faster than adoption. Try again, this one is way more messed up than that. Apparently Shanghai and the rest of China has a flourishing black market for selling dead babies for people to eat. What? Are you serious? Yeah, people want to eat babies. Why do they want to do this? Well, like a lot of black market digestibles, they believe that it contains some sort of superpower, like that it will make you live longer and be stronger. Dude, just eat kale. I promise you that kale is way better for you, and you don't have to be a horrible monster to consume it. Coming in at number 10, we have 1933 Old Mill Fun. It turns out that ghosts aren't the only ones who like to stick around after they've been wrongfully killed. Animals are jumping on the trend too. The building of 1933 Old Mill Fun used to be a massive slaughterhouse. Thousands of animals were killed in this place, and now it has left a lot of bad mojo in the building. It's not so much that people will see a ghostly cow walking through the halls of the building, but it's more like there is a terrible feeling as you walk through it. Some people report smelling blood or rotting meat. So if you're a vegan or afraid of ghosts, this shouldn't be the place you check out on your next vacation. Coming in at number 9, we have The Cursed Book. There's apparently a book in the wild in Shanghai that can ruin your life and bring evil spirits around you. The only problem is that no one knows what this book looks like. It's thought that the book is something like a regular journal with a brown leather cover, but some other people think that the book could be able to change its shape and look. It will pick a person that it wishes to haunt, and then it will make itself look appealing to that person. Are you into race cars? Well, this book is gonna have a bunch of race cars on it for ya. Once you take it home, you have the urge to start journaling your life, spilling out your deepest, darkest secrets into the book. The dark energy in this demonic journal will then use your private information to attack your life in the most personal ways. Everything you kept hidden from people will now be used to pull your life apart. So maybe start a podcast instead of journaling. Coming in number 8, we have the Neon, a famous urban legend from the Chinese New Year. The Neon is a massive beast that will patrol the streets around the New Year. It will try to harm anyone it comes in contact with. It's said that the beast is normally hidden somewhere sleeping, usually in an ocean or under a massive mountain. Not a bad deal if you're the Neon, a huge monster that gets to sleep for most of the year and then it comes out in the new year to wreak havoc, only to return back to the shadows once it's done its night of terror? On the Chinese New Year, people will write poems and post them on the outside and inside of their doors to keep the beast away. I mean, if I had to read amateur poetry to walk into someone's house, I would also avoid visiting them. Coming in at number 7, we have the Dragon Prince. From our last video, you know that there has been a culture in Shanghai of people who love dragons. I mean, apparently there's dragons that live under the ground and they will stop you from doing any sort of construction unless you honor them. So it should be no surprise that there's something called the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince is supposed to be an ancient Chinese deity that has a lot of benefits. If you praise him as you are supposed to with gifts and a proper ceremony, then you will see your life showered with good fortune. See, I like this deal. You give a little and you get a little. That's how the exchange should happen. But if you're not as kind to this mysterious power, then he will give you bad luck. This will often come in waves of you getting ill and possibly losing most of your money. So better get familiar with the Dragon Prince because he's going to screw your life up if you're not nice to him. Coming in at number 6, we have the Skin Thief. This isn't the most original urban legend, but there's a lot of layers to it, so you have to give it some credit for how deep it goes. The Skin Thief is kind of like a shapeshifter that has to murder someone to take their place. The way that the Skin Thief works is it will find a target, someone it thinks it can impersonate, and someone who it can easily get close to. Once it has chosen its victim, it will move in and go in for the kill. It will want to take its victim to a secluded spot because it will need time to make its shift into its new form. The Skin Thief will kill the person and then eat the skin of its victim, and through this it will be able to transform into a new individual. It will now take the form of its victim. From there, it can now impersonate them and try and get close to its friends and family, jumping from one victim to the next and constantly changing its shape so it can never be caught. The Skin Thief could be in your house right now. Whoa! Coming in at number 5, we have the Dark Gaze. Everyone loves a good curse. Well, everyone loves the story of a good curse. I don't think anyone actually loves having a curse thrown at them out of the blue. The Dark Gaze is the Shanghai version of the evil eye, a very old horror trope but still a good one. The idea is, if you ever cross a witch or someone who has been able to tap into dark magic, then they will put a horrible curse on you and make sure your life goes to hell for inconveniencing them. Yeah, don't mess around with witches because they will ruin your life. Coming in at number 4, we have the Mongolian death worm. This creature has apparently been found all throughout China. Of course, this is an urban legend, but if it's real, it's all over the country. Think of a big snake but way meaner, and it has acid venom like the xenomorph from Alien. I know the xenomorph has acid blood, but I'm just trying to paint a picture over here. This thing apparently has the shape of a worm but has a thick body and can be up to 5 feet long. It has a mouth that will open up like a bear trap, and it's got a bunch of gross teeth lodged in its face. On top of this acidic venom that is coursing through this creature's face can be launched out of its mouth at a high velocity. If it gets on your skin, be prepared to scream because this stuff will burn you down to the bone. Coming in at number 3, we have Bone Melting Potion. This is one of the grossest things I have ever read. There's a rumor about people sneaking bone melting potion into soft drinks. Basically, if you drink this over the course of a few weeks, your bones will turn to jelly inside your body. There will be nothing you could do about this because the process takes so long that you wouldn't be able to remember where it came from. Basically, it would leave your body floppy like a jellyfish with your internal organs crushed by the weight of your own muscles. Maybe stick to water. Coming in at number 2, we have organ harvesters. We have all heard this story. A tourist is in a bar and then he meets a beautiful lady. She takes him back to her hotel. They have a few drinks. Then he wakes up in a tub of ice with a note on him that tells him he needs to go to the nearest hospital because they just took out one of his kidneys. Well, this legend has worked its way over to Shanghai. Apparently there is a massive black market for people buying and selling organs. Where do all these organs come from? Who knows? Well, they might be taken from people who come across the border, but the mystery still stands strong. So basically, if you're in Shanghai, don't let anyone buy you a drink unless you're trying to ditch one of your organs. Coming to the number 1 spot, we have 37 Lineage Zai, the story of one of the most gruesome murders in Chinese history. The year is 1956 and the police get a phone call from someone who says they just killed an entire family. He gives them the address. The police burst in the door and they find a murder scene where there is blood all over the walls, blood all over the floor, but something is very strange. There are no bodies. What what happened to the family after they were killed. Did this person stuff them into the floorboards? Did he take the bodies with him? Maybe he shoved them into his car and drove off? Maybe he sat there and he ate the whole family before the police arrived. The police searched the whole house, and even though they couldn't find the bodies, they found a ton of strange paranormal activity. Lights turning on and off, voices coming from rooms where no one was in them, disembodied footsteps. Now this sounds like the most intense murder investigation that ever was, and it actually was all from a webcomic. That's right, the story's from a popular webcomic that became so publicized in Shanghai, people actually thought it was real. Alright everyone, that has been our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Now I'm going to read out some questions from my Instagram inbox. Lunar Tint wrote in and asked, what's your most bizarre habit? Well, I get into a lot of weird health trends, so I'm constantly trying new things to improve my health. So I don't know if that itself is a weird habit, or if you would count the individual things I do as weird habits. Like I have a series of supplements I take every morning. I have a stretching regimen I do. I started doing something I call bathroom workouts, which is doing like a small 2-minute workout every time you go to the bathroom, so your body is more active throughout the day. It's a great thing to do if you work at a desk. Also, I fast every day. Our next question comes from Bailey16, who wrote in and asked, what time does an orange cross the rainbow? An orange seems like a morning fruit. It's been part of breakfast for such a long time, so the orange is probably going to be up early. I would say an orange wakes up around 6 a.m. Then it's a matter of whether or not it's got to take off its peel before it heads out to the rainbow. If it's got the peel on, I would say it gets to the rainbow around 8. If not, I would say it gets there around 7:30. Luca917 wrote in and asked, what's your favorite kind of burrito? This is a hard call. I mean, most burritos are pretty similar, but I think my most favorite is when they have some sort of deep fried fish like halibut, so any kind of seafood burrito I would go for. If I'm getting a burrito, I get the works. Give me everything. I usually get the spiciest spice level as long as it's not insane, and if guacamole is there for an extra $1, you better believe I'm spending the dollar.